Hello, good afternoon and welcome to our webinar titled The EPA Journey, Supporting You Every Step of the Way. Our presenters for today are Alexandra O'Connor, Strategic EPA Assessment Manager, and Maia Williams, Head of Assessment for ILM. Now I'd like to hand over to our presenters as they talk you through today's presentation.
Hello everyone, this is Maia Williams, Head of Assessment at ILM. Today we will focus on the following topics. What do providers and employers need from an EPA service? Then we'll talk about the City and Guilds EPA service in terms of what we have achieved so far, the end-to-end process from registration to certification, helping you to prepare for endpoint assessment, our pricing model, and we'll give you further details about types of assessment methods and how to prepare for this. At this point, I would like to mention that the EPA service is available for City and Guilds and ILM customers, and the information that you will hear today applies to all sectors and standards. The landscape of endpoint assessment is changing, which we all need to adapt to. The areas that we already know a great deal about, these are the knowns. There are also areas which we know we don't know enough about. These are our known unknowns. And equally, we also anticipate a wide range of changes that we can't predict at this stage, and these are our known unknowns. Some of our knowns are what EPA looks like and how it works, what standards have been approved and are coming soon. In terms of our known unknowns, this would include the capabilities of an endpoint assessment organization, policies encouraging new entrants to become endpoint assessment organization, changes to regulatory models. Our unknown unknowns include future policy changes, how employers will engage as their responsibilities increase next year, and more levy changes that may be forthcoming. These all present different challenges in developing and offering endpoint assessment, and any EPA service needs to adapt to those. Across the various occupations, there's so many different shapes, sizes, and variations. Each standard comes with its unique on-program requirements, specific gateway requirements, as well as a number of assessment methods included in the endpoint assessment stage. Here we've chosen 3 standards that we deliver endpoint assessment for to illustrate those variations. These standards are customer service practitioner, team leader, supervisor, and software developer. Understanding those unique requirements for each standard is key to prepare apprentices well for the final stage of the endpoint assessment. Getting endpoint assessment right in a changing environment is not easy, but we know how important it is to you, your apprentices, as well as employers. From an apprentice point of view, they would need to manage rejection, they would need further training and development, and face resits on some occasions. From a provider point of view, success rates are key, rescheduling, training and resits, as well as costs and reputation with customers. From an employer point of view, business dependencies are really key, as well as the reputational risk. I will now hand you over to Alex, who will take you through our EPA service.
Thank you, Maya. Having had 30 years experience in delivering endpoint assessment within the land-based sector, this experience has enabled us to be agile in our response to the reforms. This has resulted in us being the very first organisation to deliver apprenticeship endpoint assessment and to have issued certificates and City and Guild statements. Currently, we have over 7,000 learners registered to take our endpoint assessment, and to date have delivered our service to over 500 learners through our team of over 100 high-quality independent endpoint assessors. We are proud to report that we have had very positive external quality assurance results based on the services we have delivered. The Institute for Apprentice Feedback highlighted the guidance and documentation we provide for assessors, apprentices and employers, and praised our comprehensive guidance for our independent endpoint assessors. Our processes within the service were also commended for their robustness. Most pleasing of all was the apprentice feedback, where they confirmed the apprenticeship had left them fully prepared and competent to work in the field they had chosen. We offer endpoint assessment services in a range of industry sectors and currently are approved to deliver endpoint assessment services in 42 standards spanning across these sectors. We plan to increase the approved standards to approximately 60 by 2019. For the employer-led industries, you can see greyed out in the bottom right-hand corner, we can develop endpoint assessment in these areas where there is employer demand. We have over 100 independent endpoint assessors, as I mentioned earlier, and are still recruiting for some of the standards. So if interested, please visit our website. If you type into the Google search, be an independent endpoint assessor, you will find us on the first page. Alternatively, visit our website. Through our website, you'll find person specifications for each standard, the task profile for both the independent endpoint assessor and lead independent endpoint assessor roles, the application form and the process. So, onto our endpoint assessment service. To use our endpoint assessment service, once you've completed the endpoint assessment centre approval form for the standards you require our services in, you'll be able to register your apprentice via Walled Garden for a nominal fee of just £25 for the majority of standards. We would encourage you to register your apprentices early with us so you can take advantage of our endpoint assessment preparation tool and gain access to other supporting materials. It will also help us in our planning to meet your demand. As mentioned in the previous slide, once you have registered your apprentices, they can utilise the endpoint assessment preparation tool, a unique value-added feature of our service. The process is that following receipt of your registrations, your centre will be given access to Smart Screen and an email will be sent confirming your account setup. This will then enable you to create learner accounts via Smart Screen, which once set up will trigger an automated email sent to the respective apprentice, providing them with their own login details from which they can log into their account to start using the endpoint assessment preparation tool. Promise you it's very straightforward. Excuse me. When your apprentice has completed all on-programme activity, the apprentice, employer and provider meet formally to make a decision that they are ready for endpoint assessment. The decision process should take place approximately 3 months before the endpoint assessment is required. City and Guilds will require this gateway declaration form to be completed and signed during the formal meeting in preparation for when you can come to make the EPA booking for your apprentices following the initial registration made with us. Remember, at gateway point, as stipulated by the funding rules, functional skills and any mandatory qualifications must have been achieved prior to the formal gateway meeting with the employer, provider and apprentice. At this meeting, it would also be a good opportunity for all parties to decide how to collate the evidence that will be required for the apprentice's endpoint assessment. To make an endpoint assessment booking request following your initial registration, you do so via Walled Garden. Within the system, you'll be asked to choose a date range. The date range presented to you will be 60 to 90 days from the date of request, as it is dependent on what date within the month you make the booking. Once selected, the endpoint assessment team will make contact via email to obtain further information that will be required for the ESFA certification claim. Once we have received the requested information for the SFA certification claim, you will be given access to our EPA portal, where you'll be required to upload the signed declaration form and supporting documents for the gateway within 2 weeks of receiving access to the EPA portal. The EPA team will check the gateway requirements and supporting documentation you've sent, following which they will confirm actual booking dates via an email to you. In preparation for the Apprentice's endpoint assessment event, we will require 2 weeks prior to the endpoint assessment event all of the EPA evidence needed by the standard. You can upload content from e-portfolios, scan documents, screenshots, etc. to our EPA portal. Once we have received your supporting evidence for the Apprentice, we will remove the Apprentice from the customer access to the EPA portal and send the evidence to the allocated independent endpoint assessor in readiness for the event to take place on the agreed dates we have confirmed with you. Following the EPA event, subject to the Apprentice passing their EPA, City and Guilds will issue a statement of achievement within 20 working days following the event, whilst claiming the official apprentice certificate from the Institute for Apprentice, who will post the certificates directly to the employer. Should the apprentice fail their endpoint assessment, City and Guilds will issue a formal notification and will provide feedback on which areas were failed. If resits are required, they can be booked via Wargarden, and where standards allow, are available on a component by component basis. Our manual for endpoint assessment service is available via our website and will give you a comprehensive account of the process we've just run through, and we have a link that we've provided on our slides. So onto our pricing point. We have aligned our pricing points to reflect our appreciation of how providers receive their funding, that is with 20% end payment paid on completion of endpoint assessment. We therefore ask for a nominal registration fee of just £25, which, as mentioned earlier, releases access to our EPA preparation tool and other useful supporting materials. The balance is requested after the event and the results of the Apprentice's endpoint assessment have been entered into the system, by which time you will have received the majority of your funding. Therefore, our charging points aligns with your cash flow. So just showing you an example of this using the customer service standard. As you can see in the example, £25 is taken the moment you register, which could be at the start of the apprentice's journey. And on this example, £30 is charged only if you wish to buy our on-programme training manual. The balance of £525 is requested after the endpoint assessment event and once results have been submitted. So if you had a cohort of 100 learners on this standard, in effect, with our pricing structure, you will be retaining £52,000 within your cash flow and only paying out at the same time you'll be due your final 20% completion payment. Thank you. I'll now hand you back to Maya.
Thank you, Alex. Preparation is at the heart of our service. We have prepared quite a lot of materials, either generic endpoint assessment materials or standard specific. So, for example, we have customer guidance and customer packs, which are available for every standard, detailing what assessment methods are included, how to prepare, and any logistical information. Alex has already mentioned the EPA preparation tool. In addition to that, We have also recorded a number of endpoint assessment webinars, so please check our website for those recordings. We are also regularly planning those events, so it's worth keeping an eye on our website to find out more information about upcoming events. We have prepared a short video on the EPA preparation tool that gives you a bit of an insight as to what the tool is and how to use it. Please look at the video in your own time. Here, I'll just give you a quick overview of the EPA preparation tool. It can be personalized to each apprentice and contains up to 6 hours of generic content that's useful and relevant to the particular assessment methods included in each standard. Through using the materials, the apprentice can gain confidence in a number of areas such as interviews, presentation skills, writing and exam revision. They're organized by assessment skills most relevant to the apprentice and the standard. Now, let's have a look in a little bit more detail at what assessment methods there are and how those will be administered. Endpoint assessment is a synoptic assessment which confirms the full competence of an apprentice and tests their competence across the entire standard, including knowledge, skills and behaviours. Having said that, endpoint assessment does not aim to test every single knowledge, skills and behaviour individually, rather in combination, and testing them synoptically and holistically. In terms of individual assessment methods that you can expect, one of them is a knowledge test, also called a synoptic test or an MCQ or multiple choice test. A knowledge test consists of a series of questions which the candidate are asked to select a correct answer from a number of options. Individual questions or group of questions may also include a case study or a scenario on which the questions are based. Tests usually aim to cover knowledge, abilities to judge various options, and also certain skills like analysis of data. All City and Guilds and RLM knowledge tests are administered using the Evolve online testing platform. You need to ensure that you have the platform downloaded and set up before the knowledge test can be taken, and in most cases you will need to provide trained invigilators as well. Another common assessment method included in endpoint assessment is a portfolio of evidence. Again, multiple names for this assessment method exist, like synoptic portfolio. A portfolio is a collection of evidence gathered together on a program that is used as the basis for endpoint assessment. The types of evidence that could be included is wide-ranging, including reports, presentation, work products, witness statements, other documents as well. The portfolio needs to show holistically application of knowledge, the acquisition of skills, and demonstration of behaviours. The portfolio should contain a selection of different types of evidence, as we said, and would need to be uploaded onto our EPA platform. Another type of evidence is an interview or professional discussion. As part of this method, an assessor will ask the apprentice a series of questions to test their knowledge and competence on the standard. Interview differs from professional discussion in that the assessor role is more limited and it's restricting to asking a set of questions, whereas a professional discussion has more scope for a two-way discussion. These assessment methods are suitable for testing knowledge and understanding on the standard as well as occupational competence. Please prepare your apprentices for those assessment methods by having mock professional discussions and mock interviews. For City and Guilds and ILM standard, a number of those interviews and professional discussions will be conducted in an online environment where the assessor and the apprentice will log in together. Another assessment method is an observation or practical skills assessments, and generally this is carried out on the job, can sometimes be in a simulated environment. You will find a lot more information about the assessment methods that are included in each standard and each endpoint assessment in our customer packs. Now, preparation is really key for the success of endpoint assessment. So here we just have some tips to stay on track at each stage of the apprentice's journey. During the ON program, you can track learning and check the apprentice's program. Please assess them regularly against the standard and provide them with feedback. Please complete all mandatory elements such as English, Maths qualifications and any other qualifications that are included within the standard. And please introduce the endpoint assessment process and the various methods to the apprentice and do any mocks and rehearsals. At Gateway, it's worth checking that all the requirements have been met. Decide on the window and agree dates with the apprentice and any panel members that may need to be available, gather any evidence and documents that need to be shared with us, and also ensure that any resources such as rooms or software are booked and installed where necessary. On the day of endpoint assessment, please again check that the venue or the room is available, the software is installed and working, any equipment needed is also available and working. Ensure that the apprentice is available on the day and has a photo ID with them to present to the assessor. And if the assessor needs to visit your premise, please make sure that they can get access and have any necessary authorization. Okay, this is just to recap that City and Guilds and ILM have developed quite a range of materials that you can get access to either via our websites or wall garden. So please refer to those because they contain quite a lot of useful information on the process of endpoint assessment, but also on the actual requirements and the criteria against which we will be assessing your apprentices. And finally, I just would like to summarize how our endpoint assessment service aims to meet your needs. We talked extensively about the guidance on the process that we have put in place in various documentation and webinar recordings. We help you to prepare to pass first time using tailored resources that the apprentices can use. Our assessors are of high caliber, they're well trained as well in order to make apprentices at ease and which hopefully will help them succeed. And we have tried to smoothen the process and make it as clear as possible for you. Thank you very much for listening. If you would like to get in touch with us, please see our website, and we have included a couple of email addresses on this slide if you would like to ask us any queries or pass any information on to us. Thank you again and have a good day.